Uh, right now, for a moment, ask yourself that you're going to listen with your heart, not with your mind. Because what we're going to be talking about is so powerful and so essential. How to connect with inner guide. You know, when you start connecting with inner guide, that doesn't mean that you disregard other teachers, but you will find that it's so satisfying, because every question that you might have, every problem, will be answered so emphatically, so clearly, and even beyond words. So let's understand first what are the blocks to the inner guide, what the inner guide is, and also how to, what is the nature of it, how it works. Okay, first of all, the inner guide is you, the very I am of you. But because we identify with the human part of us all the time, based on survival instinct, based on the world that we have created with our mind, we focus so much on it that we forget all about being. And that's how we get all the problems. But there's another aspect to understanding the inner guide, is that the inner guide has absolutely no knowledge about time and space. And we're going to see it how, through understanding even technology now, we'll begin to see how valid that is. Okay. But first I'd like to start with this. I got a lot of emails, people telling me, oh, I feel so lost. One day I realized I didn't know who I am, you know, and I became so frustrated. A woman wrote me and she said, I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown. She said, I really don't know anything. Here's a true story. A lady who's well known on the internet, I won't mention her name because this is confidential, but she's a healer. She heard about a workshop going to give in Scientology. And she didn't know anything about it, and she said, well, you know, I want to expand my knowledge and I want to learn more and more. So she went to a Scientology meeting, and she was very interested in what was happening, you know, and they showed her a lot of stuff that she wasn't aware of, and she was getting excited because she's learning new stuff. When she got home, she found that most of what she knew contradicted what she learned from the Scientology, and she became confused. Well, anyway, within 2 days' time, she had a meltdown, absolutely. And she thought she was absolutely going insane. And now she said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm totally, you know, burned out. Okay. Now, when I say something like this, why do you think that happened? Before I keep going, could you tell me why would something like that happen? All of a sudden, she's a healer. She's well-knowledged. I mean, she knows what is it all about, briefly. And then she hears something entirely different, which also made sense to her. At least that's what she thought at the beginning. And then she became totally, absolutely frustrated, burned out. And she didn't know what she believed anymore. She didn't know who she was anymore. And she reached a dangerous place in her life. Why do you think something like that happens?
She was waiting for the outside to reflect who she was.
Very good. Very good. Very simply put. Okay, right. Now I got something from, there's a couple, beautiful people, and they're doing my website. They're redoing it. And they sent me this. And they said, well, if I could talk about it. Now this is music, this is a song written by the French duo Daft Punk. Did you ever hear it? You heard it?
Daft Punk?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And the music was almost like computerized, the words. Now these were the words. I'm going only to read the lyrics. There are so many things I don't understand. There's a world within me that I cannot explain. Many rooms to explore, but the doors look the same. I am lost. I can't even remember my name. I've been for some time looking for someone. I need to know now. Please tell me who I am. And then there's a chorus, repeats the same thing. There are so many things that I don't understand. There's a world within me that I cannot explain. Many rooms to explore, but the doors look the same. Where are the locks to try the key? I am lost. I can't even remember my name. Now, this is a very important song, actually, because this is typical of so many people. They reach a point where they don't understand who they are. They feel lost. I've had someone not so long ago say to me, all of a sudden I came home to my empty room. I felt incredibly lonely. And all of a sudden I realized I didn't know who I was. And I broke down and I cried all night. I couldn't sleep. I felt as if I was going crazy. Why does this happen? Is this bad news when it's happening so worldwide, especially to seekers? No, this is good news. What is the good news? Because we think there is something to know about us. We think there is someone. We think we have an identity. But we are existence itself. We are everything. You see, but we lose that essence. And so we individualize it so much that we live totally from the ego idea that you become so self-concerned. I want to learn, I want to get this, I want to be better, I want. Before you know it, the moment you begin to have the slightest link that there is no you as you think, excuse me, there is only I am, which is the 0 point. Do you understand when I say the 0 point? The I am of you is called the 0 point. From that, then we have the consciousness that everything is one. You see? So, but we'll keep on going here. Now, why does this happen? Because it means that you are ready to awaken, but you are fighting it. This is the block. Because you see, you have to know what you are not before you can discover who you are. But who you are has nothing to do with what you think you are. I remember for 27 years I was holding my own TV series, and I wrote a book called Be Aware, Be Free, and I had an experience with Bhagavan Maharshi. I had a vision of him, and I really thought I was having something very stable. Until one day, in a conflicted relationship, I realized I didn't know anything. And I didn't have any answers. And then in that moment, acknowledging the fact that I don't know who I am, and I really don't have any answers, that became the answer. The now itself. And the now is you. The now is the truth of you. The now is the inner guide. Okay? But let's understand the now, how it really is. You know, when we ask ourselves, how are we going to understand the state that I am, which defies time and space, which defies any knowledge of my past, of anything that I think I know? Well, when we think of now, we think of a time now. You see? But if we understand the now, we begin to feel a glimpse of the now, we realize that now is timeless, has no past or future. Because now, and we'll keep repeating that over and over again, now is always now. Right now you're listening, because now you're listening. It is now. Whatever you're doing, it is always now. There's never a time when it is not now. Now has no end, no marginal point, has no exit. It is always. But the thing is that we forget that. And we think in terms of something that happened, which is the past, it's memory, it's finished, and the future, which has not happened yet, you see? But the now is where everything happens. And if we get in touch with that now, that is the inner guide. Now, the inner guide has no time and space. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, when I was talking to Jen about this, many years ago, the first UFO sighting was in 1970 or something. But after a while, they began to think, oh, it's not possible to get UFOs because they have to travel, you know, thousands and thousands of light years in order to get to Earth. So how's that possible to travel that immense, you know, space? Because they thought that there is traveling time. There is no travel time. There's now and there's now. The two. There's no now and then, or now and here. Okay? There's only now and now. Let me give you an example how that works. If we do it scientifically, and many people have learned to see how that happens, is that if a UFO appears, for example, it would appear and then disappears. And all of a sudden it appears here. Okay? How does that happen? Well, in technology, we know how that happens. If you talk to someone on a cell phone next door, how long does it take before they answer the ring? It's immediate, isn't it? Okay. Now put a person a mile away, the same person, and ring them. How long does it take them before they get the ring? Immediate, isn't it? Right? Okay. Now put the person 200 miles away and ring them again. Don't they get it right there and then? Okay. Where's the space? Where's the traveling time? There's no travel time. Because you see, technology has learned to create what is called a signal. And this is when we begin to understand the inner guide. The signal is what technology has now created beyond time and space. The cell phone is an aspect of that. For example, you're given a number. Did you know that that number that you have, no one on earth and 7 billion people has that same number? Only you have it? Do you know that the email that you have, no one has in all the whole world? Okay? That's called a signal. You see, we use it as numbers, we use it as letters, but what they actually are, the moment you start send, that's the signal. That's the signal specifically to that individual number or name. That signal doesn't travel. Someone asked me one time that they were with me here in the room, and I have to write someone in Australia, and I sent an email to Australia. And immediately I had a ring, you know, says that I received a mail, and it was a few minutes later, and I got and this guy said to me, "How could they write so fast? It went all that distance to Australia." I said, because it didn't travel. It went from here to here, not from here to there. There's no space in between. It's always here. The man in Australia who got it, he got it here. Okay? So the moment you talk to someone on the phone, both of you are now together. When I Skype someone, I Skype people from all over the world every day. And, you know, the last one was in Vietnam. Whether it is in China, England, Germany, it doesn't matter. The moment you Skype, you send the signal, which is the Skype name, okay? Immediately I get it the moment they send it. And we are together now. There's no time, there's no space, there's only now. Are we beginning to get it now? What it means? Now this is what the inner guide is. You see, the inner guide is that part in you that knows there is no time and space. So it is not something that you're going to arrive at. It is not something you're going to get. It is not something you're going to achieve or attain or accomplish. It is here, here. Okay, there's here, only here. There's never been a there. It's only semantics that says here to there. You see, there's only here. If we can grasp this, I think we have done it. And from the beginning, bear with me from possibly boring you, but the reason I say listen to the heart, because the heart has no time and space. Only the mind has time and space. It lives in horizontal time, as we discussed last satsang. Whereas the now is vertical. It is divine. It is ascending. That's why we say, I feel light or I feel high. You see, because it's vertical, it's always now. So there are many aspects that we are learning now, even in technology, how technology itself is teaching us when we listen, because we take it for granted. You see, we never think the aspect of it, how powerful it is. We are learning to transcend time. So now, what is the nature of the inner guide? There are 3 laws that we have to understand about the inner guide. These 3 laws cover every aspect of life itself. So if you go to any other laws, they change, they shift, but these 3 never, ever, ever change. And if you understand these 3, these are the 3 aspects of the inner guide. 1, you exist. You know what that means, you exist? I get so many people emailing me and they says, I feel I don't deserve love. I said, you exist. The fact that you exist means existence chose you to be existing. I said, can't you see how grateful you can be if you realize that? My God, I'm existing. I am existence itself. And that means there is nothing that existence gives that I don't already own. I was watching an ad, and someone pointed it out to me, and they gave me the link, and they said, could you look at this, Burt? There's a neuroscientist, and he's created some electrodes that you put them on the brain, on the head, and you listen to these particular sounds, and they actually give you a state of euphoria, a state of meditation, a state of, it actually feels as if you're having an out-of-body experience or an ecstatic state of high being. And someone said to me, he said, well, does the brain does that? No, the brain doesn't produce those things. It reproduces those things. Are you with me so far? Everything is in existence. All the joy and harmony and peace and love and everything that you can think of that is beautiful is in existence itself. Is existence. It is love itself. But you see, we don't experience that because we experience the body so completely all the time that we identify with the body, which is time and place, which is time and space to us. And so we automatically do not feel one with the energy of the being. Okay? So, yeah. So therefore, that is all in existence itself. Like, for example, you say, just to give you an idea, you go on the beach. It's a beautiful day. There's nobody there, so that you don't hear voices, no cars going by, nothing. All there are is seagulls, the surf breaking on the rocks. Excuse me. And you're walking along the beach, and you just become very quiet and silent, and you just listen. Did you know that when you listen to the sounds of nature, you actually feel euphoric? You feel very good? Because those very sounds are like music. Okay? They are, why? Because all of existence carries everything within it that is the highest in the human. The highest. It's already there. It is called being. It is called the self. Ramana Maharshi calls it the self, capital S. It is in the very state of being. T.S. Eliot wrote this. He said, "We shall never cease from exploration. And at the end of all our exploring, we shall arrive at where we started, but know that place for the first time." So when we get to know that place, okay, which is really who we are, the silence itself, it has no definition, it has no physical aspect, it has no time and place, in other words, it has no concreteness, it is just beingness. The moment you discover this being, this who you are, which is covered that place, you know, for the first time, That's called the awakening state. You see? And all the time, all our exploration, it means everything that you're doing in life, the seeking, the wanting, the needing, the striving, the desiring, is all for this state. All of it. Until you discover you've always been existing. Wow! You see? And the moment you discover you've been existing, because existence is those things. What we call happiness and peace and joy and love, these things don't exist. You know, like people says, how can you feel secure? How can you feel when you don't make enough money? Or because all it is, what is security? What is feeling feeling safe in the moment? It is not thinking that you're not safe. It is simply being. Existence has all these qualities, but they are not something that you can achieve, that you can pay for. It is itself. You see what I mean? It's not something you get, it is something you are. And so when you finally discover that you exist, existence is whole. Do you know what that means, whole? Oneness? It means nothing can be added to it, nothing can be taken away from it. It is everything that we ever wanted or can be. It is infinite potential, infinite being. And you exist, and you are existence itself. There's no difference between the two, any more than you can put a wave apart from the ocean. You see? Number 3 law is this. Whatever you focus on, you become. So the world that you experience is the world that you're thinking. That's it. It's as simple as that. These 3 cover every aspect. If you want to know personality, if you want to know about the world, about you, about spirituality, remember these 3 laws. These 3 laws never ever change. They are always, they are complete. They are the laws of the inner guide. You exist. Existence is one. You exhibit what you focus on. Okay? If for a moment you think you are an ego, you focus on fear automatically, because ego and fear are synonymous. They both mean the same thing. Well, the moment you focus on fear, you are fearful. And then this is who you think. And then we begin to think that fear is real. You see? But it isn't real. It is not real at all. All it is what you focused on. In the same way, if you ask 100 people, what do you think about the world? Someone will talk about politics, someone talks about material things, someone talks about money. You see, someone may maybe talk about marriage or whatever, okay? This is the world that they see. But the world has nothing to do with reality. It is the mind itself that occupies that particular existing essence, you see? So therefore, we are recreating our life, the world that we see, with every thought that we believe and think. See? So if you look at your life right now, and ask yourself, am I satisfied with it? Am I happy with what I am experiencing now, the way I am? If I am, then I'm thinking positive. Then I love myself. If I am not having what I want, therefore I'm thinking lack, fear. Got it? But it has nothing to do with reality. It has only to do with what you are thinking. You see? So many people are looking for the right person, so that when they fall in love, they're going to be happy forever. Well, I got news for you. Did you know that soulmates, when they meet, and we're always meeting soulmates anyway, because we need to learn from each other. What we have left unresolved, we meet again to resolve it. And then we think, if I meet my soulmate, I'm going to be happy. Well, how do you know? It could be that you haven't resolved something and now you need to resolve it. You see, now whether you do or not, that's another thing altogether. So, in other words, nothing happens by accident because of this 3rd law. It is so beautiful. What you focus on, you become and you have. If you want to have the best, you don't have to think the best. You just have to be the best. See the difference? Because if you start thinking about achieving the best, then that's future, isn't it? Time and space. We're back to time and space. No. You have to be, because being is the here. Being is the now. You are complete now. So when a master looks at the people who are now all seeking, all seeking something, the master says, but you are already enlightened. You just don't know it. You think that I am something way above you, but I'm not. It's just that I woke up. And you're still thinking you have something to get to, something to achieve, something to know. You see, there's nothing. There's only is. Okay? So, what I'd like to do, I'd like to do a technique. Now, it's a very simple one, so that you can contact the inner guide. Okay? Now remember, the inner guide has no past or future. Okay? The inner guide has no time and space. The inner guide is totally now, therefore it is always glowing, it is always happy, it is always at peace, it is always secure, always safe, always joyous, always complete. Remember that word, complete, always complete. Okay, so now I'd like you to raise a question that you would like to ask the inner guide. Do you have the question? You don't have to tell me. You just, those of you listening to this satsang, just have a question that you would like to ask the inner guide. Okay. You all have it? Okay. So now what I'd like you to do, just for a few moments, I'd like you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And surrender to this moment, to now, completely. Just to be here now, completely. You've already asked the question, so now leave it for a moment, because it's going to be answered by your inner guide. Now I'd like you to, being relaxed and very peaceful right now, see a corridor in front of you, a long corridor. And you're walking along this corridor. And at the end, there is a door. You're looking forward to discover what's at the end of the door when you open it, what you're going to find. So you're looking forward to this. So now you walk towards the door. You open the door. And as soon as you open the door, you see the inner guide. Now the inner guide, we're going to give it a form. Because in this case, since it's a technique, we need something visual to help us to go beyond the imagination itself. So we're using imagination to go beyond it. So now, as you see the face of the guide, you see the mirror image of you. He or she is how you look when you look in the mirror. But as you look at this guide, the guide is glowing. It is radiant. The eyes look so alive, so here now. It's not concerned with its past because it has forgiven the past totally. It's not concerned about the future. It is totally here, totally now, completely. Now you look into those glowing eyes, those beautiful eyes that are always here, always now. And because they're always here and now, they are innocent. They are pure. They are guileless. It's just like a child. No agenda, no fear, just here. Just here. Pure love. You look into those eyes and you ask the inner guide the question. Now ask the guide the question. The guide will not talk to you, but will only look at you, and through those eyes you will receive the answer. Now, ask it the question. Look into those eyes and see how clear the answer comes. It doesn't even come in words, it comes as a feeling, knowing. Now, This is how you gain knowledge. And as you do it more and more, often, it will become such a part of you that you'll wonder how something so simple could have escaped you. Okay, now open your eyes. So, I don't want to embarrass you by asking what your question was, but did you get an answer? Did you get an answer?
I'm not very sure.
Not sure. Okay, did you get an answer? Okay, did you get an answer?
Light.
Light. Okay. You see, you said something very, very, very good here. See, when we look for an answer, we try an answer, not realizing that the answer is staring us in the face. See, people write emails every day with questions and this and happened, but what if, and they come up and they want to know, and it's amazing. If they just quiet the mind down, be quiet, the answer is there. I remember in the beginning I read the book of Ramana Maharshi, and it says, ask who am I? And I was using it all the time. Who am I? Who am I? I did it like a mantra. But I never got an answer as to who I am. And then slowly I realized, and this was after a few years, I realized that who am I? Who's going to give me the answer? If there is no separation, who is going to give me the answer? My mind was saying, I don't know the answer. But the mind doesn't know the answer. Because the mind can only think in terms of concreteness, ideas, persona, you see? But when it comes to all of a sudden you just become quiet, there's a feeling. There's a feeling that comes. There's a peace that comes. I am that. So you can say, I am light. You see? And so when you looked into those eyes, the perfect eyes that carry no agenda, that carry no guilt, that carry no past, that carry no future, they're just here. And it is you that you're looking at. You see? All of a sudden you get that knowing. I am. And that becomes your answer. The moment you accept that as your answer and you really understand it, because it cannot be any other way, there are no words. We think in terms of intellectual, it has to be done with words, semantics. But you see, this is what is happening with most people. They always think that answers have words. Words are intellectual, that have to do with thought. We're talking about feeling. And the moment you start to feel, relax, good. That's the answer. There's no big deal, no big thing about it. One time I had a man, and he was always angry at work, stressed out, and he lost his job. He was drinking all the time. He was fighting with his wife. She threatened to leave him. And this is an actual case. Quite a few years ago, he came to see me, and I didn't know what to say to him for him to understand the abstract, because no matter what I said to him, he had to make sense out of it. That's the mind, you see. The mind has to figure out everything. It cannot understand beauty. It cannot understand love. It has to put words to it. So I said to him, look, do the following, and then we'll talk about it. I said, you live here in Kitts. I said, the beach is very close by. I said, get up in the morning, when there are hardly any cars going by, go over to Kitts, sit at the edge, look, it was summer, I said, look at the horizon, and I said, or you can sit on a bench, and look at the horizon for at least half an hour, don't think, just look at the horizon. Your mind will say, what should I think about, what shall I see? No, nothing, just look, I said, and then we'll talk about it. Well, he did. He did. He was nice enough a man, determined enough. A lot of things have happened in his life that he wanted something, and he did it. When he walked away, something happened to him. He said, you know, the fuss that I'm making about my life falling apart, he said, is very simple. He said, I'm actually creating all this by my worry, by my things. You see, he took responsibility. But after, it came even stronger all the time, that for half an hour, not thinking, just looking at the horizon, he felt at peace. And then when we had the second session and we talked about it, he said, you know, that peace, if I could have it all the time. But I said, you do. Mm-hmm. You do. Don't try to achieve it. It is your inner guide. That is your inner guide. It can teach you everything. He says, but what if I have... He came up with a question, and let's go into it, just in case you're asking it too. He says, but what if I have something wrong with my health? Or something wrong here, something wrong there. What is it? How will the inner guide help me to do that? Very easy. Because the inner guide is peace. Well, the moment is peace and you have no self-concern, immediately there's something that happens to you that will act through you. Maybe you need a certain vitamin. Maybe you need a certain diet. Maybe you need a certain exercise. It doesn't matter. All of a sudden you find yourself gravitating towards a book, a literature, a person. It will come into your life to guide you to what you need. The moment you quiet yourself down enough to say, I am not concerned, it will be taken care of. And you'll be amazed at how things start to happen without knowing, without knowing how it happens. You'll be guided. So this is how the inner guide works. You see? It doesn't work like you don't see words on a screen. Although I used to do that. I used to picture a screen. And then I pretend that this is a computer. This is before I was computers. I used to visualize this when I was younger. That there's a screen, and on the screen come all the words that I need to know about. Then I can write about it, you see. Now many writers wrote fiction, wrote novels by what they see as their characters, and they take over, you see. So this is how creativity comes, but there's something even more. Better than words, it comes a feeling. And that feeling is everything. Once you allow it to take over and you trust it completely. That feeling, it is your pure being. That is your inner guide. Okay, are there any questions now?
Is what you are talking about, Burt, it just sounds like it's such pure forgiveness.
Oh, very good. That's. You see, Course in Miracles talks about forgiveness. Okay, that's what forgiveness is. You forgive the past so completely that you're left purer and purer and purer and purer all the time. So that was beautiful, yeah. Yeah, it is true. Letting go, releasing, forgiving. Right. Yeah, I didn't mention forgiveness, but that's what it is. But you see, when we talk about forgiveness, many people have written me and they say, but forgive what? How can I forgive someone who did harm to me? So they come up with all kinds of questions not to forgive. But you see, when you don't want to forgive, you're not forgiving anyone. You're forgiving yourself. You're purifying yourself. What you're doing is taking away that
Creation.
that creation, that muck, that stuff that's inside you, you see? So you keep letting it go, cleaning it out, until all you're left with is here. Now, and that becomes, every time, the answer. Okay.
But it is too, it's like you say, the third point, that you create everything.
You create everything.
So
there's nothing but you.
If you can actually take responsibility in what you're creating, that's the forgiveness too, right there.
That's right. That's right.
And that's almost like the guide is, the inner guide is seeing that.
That's right. That's right. And by contacting the inner guide, you automatically begin to forgive too. Because it will, what the inner guide will give you is it will give you silence. It will give you a certain feeling of peace. And after a while, that sense of peace will become euphoric. It will become beautiful. Like, when it's a beautiful day, I have my own bench, which is at the back here, kids. It's a nice section, and there's a shade, and I sit on the tree, and I just sit. I don't call it meditation, I just sit. And I get so high that after half an hour or 45 minutes I walk, I feel silly, you know. I want to smile at everybody, I want to hug everybody, I want to feel like I want to sing. You see, where does that energy come from? Because when you purify yourself, when you sit in silence, there's this energy that comes into you, and it will guide you to do the right thing, the right moment, everything. You see, it acts through you, in other words. You see? But it doesn't give you words what to do or not to do. Okay. So, are there any questions from what we covered? Is that clear about the inner guide? No? Okay. See, when you start trusting the inner guide, did you know that trusting the inner guide is the ultimate trust? The ultimate faith? Because there's come the realization, you are God. You are the ultimate, you are the unlimited. You are not only exist, but you are existence itself. And the third one is how you create that existence by what you focus on. And so, these three cover every aspect of life. Every aspect.
You talk so much about recognizing the inner guide. But I see it too as there's an undoing that has to happen of who you are not.
And how do you do the undoing?
Well, I guess it's by seeing, like just the examples you gave in the beginning of someone saying they don't know who they are. And
how do they heal that? How do they learn from that?
It's just a trust.
Just to trust.
And it's just a
the
trust.
being that you are.
Yeah.
It's happening and you can trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, of course, now it can get confusing to somebody who doesn't understand, because who am I trusting? See, when you trust, who are you trusting?
It's not a who. It's a feeling.
It's a feeling, isn't it? So trust is complete because it's part of beingness. Because you're not trusting anyone. You see? Trusting God is trust, period. You see? Faith in God is faith, period. Loving God is love, period. You see? There's nothing that you are doing. There's only allowing yourself to be here. See? That is complete itself. Like some people say, when you pray, who do you pray to? See, the mind is such in duality that all the time it wants an answer. Who are you praying to? You don't pray to anyone. Prayer is not asking for something. People who pray for things are often disappointed and lose faith because they think, if I pray to someone higher than me, is going to give me something. Not realizing that you are all there is. We all live in our own world. Collectively, we are all one. So each wave is unique, seems separate and different, but it's all the same water. So when we begin to realize that I am responsible for the small world that I create, and everybody is the same, so therefore we are all in the same big boat. You see, and that's when we begin to understand in a way we never understood before. Because the moment you accept yourself and forgive yourself for being in your small world, the moment you forgive it and says, well, this is what I created. And I can love myself, it's okay. If you hate yourself for the world you created, then it's going to get worse. But if you love yourself for what you created by the simple fact that you're aware of it, you see, now your world expands. And as it expands, it takes on more and more, you see, of what you are. So, so this is all part of the inner guide. Inner guide is, now you're beginning to feel now when you pray. For example, what is prayer? Real prayer.
Celebration.
Hmm?
Celebration.
Celebration. Hey, you've been one with the inner guide today. Yeah, it's celebration. Being grateful. You see, you're walking down the street and you begin to see that tree is so beautiful. One time I went over to Higher Ground coffee place and I was sitting by myself and making some notes, and then I looked out and I saw this tree, you know, next to the road. And for some reason I saw it for the first time. I knew there was a tree there, but this time I saw it. And I saw how the branches were all even, they were all in harmony, and how the sun reached it and it didn't miss a part of it, you know, how everything was so perfectly balanced, the symmetry, the poetry of it all, you know, and its trunk and everything else. And then I thought, well, this is, you know, when we start looking, really looking without self-concern, because as long as you're self-concerned, you never see anything except darkness. But when you start to see, you see the beauty that's already there. You see, some people say, well, you know, the world is an illusion. Yes, it is. It's a dream, yes. So therefore, do we need to disregard it? Do we need to see it as an illusion? Or can we embrace it as part of what is, you see? And that is the whole point, is to embrace it all as part of what is. There is no separation in anything. Many people say, well, when you become spiritual, you don't care about the world anymore. Not true. You care more. But you're not caught in it. You're not attached. But you love it even more than you did before, because now you understand that nothing is separate from anything else. The world is all spirit, all of it. There isn't one iota that is not part of life. But you see, consciousness, which is the major energy of isness, creates the world out of itself, just like a spider weaves a web out of itself. And so when you begin to see that, that very seeing is the prayer. That's what prayer is. You see, it happens automatically. It's a gratitude for being alive. It's gratitude for being born, to be existing. Because if you exist, you deserve the best. Simply for the simple fact that existence created you. You see? And then you might say, well, you're existing. Who created the existence? See, there's no beginning or end. It just is. Okay, so any questions? Okay, namaste.